All
Okay.
right.
We good? All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Power Talk interview this week with my partner, Sarah and I, founders of Sharp Retention. Again, our goal with these videos is to add value to you all, our community of clients and friends. So thank you for being with us today. And on this call, we have none other than the legendary, one of my favorite humans of all time, Rick Ruby. Rick's been in the mortgage business for 35 years now. He owns 3 mortgage branches and has 34 loan officers. In 2018, Rick closed 165 loans per month, and 95% of them were purchase business. Rick originated personally from 1984 to 2009. He owns and runs The Core, training 485 top-producing real estate agents and mortgage lenders with his 44 coaches. Rick teaches them how to do more loans, make more money, save more money, and give more money to charity. The Core has been open now for 18 years. Rick also coaches several of the large mortgage banks in the country right now. Rick's a family man, physically fit, he's organized, he cares about his people and his community, he's a giver, and he's on a mission to be great and help people along the way. On a personal note, what I like most about Rick is that he's not fancy. He coaches to what actually works from a tactical perspective because he actually knows how to do loans. What a concept, right? Lots of people out there right now getting coaching from people who've never closed a loan, never sold a house, never sold anything for that matter, and don't know how to run a business. Whereas Rick is the absolute real deal. So Rick, it's an honor to have you on today, sir, and thank you for being with us.
Well, Adam, I've known you and Sarah now for about probably 6 years. I think we met at an event. We were both working at one time is how we first met. And I think that you guys are exactly what I believe in sales. You pursued me. I called you. We followed up. We got to know each other. And you sold me lots of Cutco knives. I've given lots of Cutco knives away. I've had you at my events. I think that you guys are what all loan reps need to be and all realtors need to be, which is really good salespeople. So I always enjoy interacting with you guys.
Thank you, sir. So guys, on today's call, we want to talk to Rick. Initial topic here is going to be about past clients. We all know if you're not staying in contact with them, you're leaving money on the table, lots of it. So Rick, if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about your philosophy here with client retention, repeat business, and really running a relational business, not transactional, but a relational business based on the philosophy of having raving fan clients.
Well, when I was first coming up, I was a really big loan rep in the 80s. And in the 90s, I was like, gosh, doing $100 million a year. I made $1 million in 1995. I was a great loan rep. And I met this guy named Joe Stump, who had a company called Buy Referral Onlys, where I learned my seminar skills. And I went to Joe's event, and he did a seminar that said, never chase realtors again. So I sat in the front row, because from being in the mortgage business for 12 years, you get kind of tired of dealing with realtors. They can be a pain in the butt. So I went to this seminar, and he talked about the value of working your past clients, and I got to know Joe right away. He did a questionnaire like every seminar guy does to see how big you are, and I handed him mine because I was pretty proud of who I was. He goes, wow, you make $1 million. Can I have lunch with you? We had lunch, started hanging out, and he said, do you ever work your past clients? I said, no. He said, well, how many past clients do you have? I said, I have about 2,300 right now. So he says, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we mail a first-class letter to the 2,300 people and see what happens? I said, okay. So he helped me write a letter. We sent a letter about, I'm sorry, I haven't stayed in contact. You're important to me, which they probably weren't at the time. I mean, honestly, I was just interested in more loans and making more money like everybody else was. And I got back 300 of the 2,300 came back change of address. And he said to me, Adam, he says, how much do you make per client? I said, I make about $2,500. He said, well, you just lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because you're not staying in touch. So from that day on, I incorporated the plan of a mailer once a month and 30 phone calls a week to my past clients. So that's one of the things that I teach at the Core is we make them call 30 past clients every Thursday. Thursday is our past client day. We send a letter from the heart every month about something painful in our life, the value they can learn from it, and a call to action. A call to action would be like, it's a great time to refi, great time to buy a second home. If you want to move, call me. It's kind of that Chinese drip torture concept, Adam and Sarah, where you just drip on people and drip. Like, here's the thing. I'm crazy about the two of you. I'm big fans. And if I heard from you more often, what would happen?
More business.
I would do more with you. Now, I'm not a big internet person. You know, I don't really like the internet. I still have a flip phone. But, I mean, my team does. And people that send me videos and send me emails, I stay in point of mind. So it's kind of like if I'm sending you a mailer and I'm sending you a video and I'm calling you every 3 months, I'm probably going to get you back as a client. You agree with that?
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
So Joe kind of taught me the concept of building a referral business, and I didn't really see the value in it until I started working less hours and making more money. So it seems like my income jumped about 30% and my hours dropped about 25% when I started working my past clients. So I started working my past clients, and for me, like where I've always used Cut Go Nice is I'm a big gifter. Like I spend about $3,500 a month on gifting for my personal self. My loan reps, I give them all a budget of around $1,000 a month that they need to spend on their clients. If they close about 6 or 8 loans a month, they need to spend $1,000 between birthday presents for their realtors, closing gifts, approval gifts. So I've always used Cut Go Knives as a great closing gift because it's just such a high quality product. And it's like, it's got my name engraved on it. So every time they're cutting something, they see, Summit Funding or the core training. So I've always liked the product. But, I just think gifting in general is a key to a relationship. And I think that you and me and everybody watching has to decide, are they an advertising based or are they relationship based?
Right.
I decided after Joe proved it to me, Sarah, that relationships make more money and they cost less to acquire. Like, you ever watch Shark Tank, Sarah?
Yeah.
And you know how they always say the cost to acquire a client?
Yep.
What are they talking about?
Typically advertising.
Bought advertising on the internet is what they're talking about, Sarah. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
If you're doing relationship-based marketing, you really have a zero cost to acquire. So, but every time I watch Shark Tank, it seems like Mr. Wonderful always says, how much is your cost to acquire a client? And I didn't know what that meant till I pursued that. And what it means is you can buy internet leads on the internet. So that's how most people get their business. So because I don't do that, I didn't understand it. So I've investigated a lot. And I do a pretty good following on the internet. I have about 60,000 followers on whatever online system they follow me. And I send out a lot of videos because you have to have some exposure for people to know if they're attracted to you or not. So my concept is that I coach realtors and lenders on how to make money, how to save money, how to give money. I work past clients, I work VIPs, and for the loan reps, I work realtors. So for a loan rep, I work realtors, past clients, and VIPs. For a realtor, I teach past client and VIPs. And they all want to do like internet marketing. Have you ever noticed that lately, Adam? They all want all the lenders to pay for internet marketing.
Right. Yep.
I will pay for any of my realtors to mail to their past clients. Because I know if they mail to their past clients, they'll get what kind of leads, Sarah? Warm or cold?
They're going to be warm.
And what do you get off the internet?
Very
Cold.
cold.
You know what the closing percentage is, Sarah, for somebody that doesn't know you?
Pretty low.
Under 10%. Now, somebody that's generated from a webinar or an internet lead has about a 4% closing percentage. Now, a warm lead, Adam, like if I send somebody to you about buying Cut Go Nice, what do you think the closing percentage is?
Very high.
Close to 50. So you're either going to close under 10 and spend money, or you're going to close up to 50% and spend no money. So when I learned this years ago, and I learned this 27 years ago from Joe Stump, who I don't even think is in the business anymore, but it's just that concept is timeless. To work your past clients, to take care of people. You know, it's funny, Adam, I go to a lot of restaurants and I use a lot of service providers. I'm rarely wowed. Are you?
No.
Lately, can you think of one company that wowed you when you bought something from them or got a restaurant meal?
No, it happens very rarely.
It shocks me. Doesn't it shock you, Sarah?
It does.
Like I just put a pond in my backyard and my landscaper said he wanted to do it. No drawing, no bid. He starts it and it looks completely crooked. So I'm like, whoa, stop right here. And I went and hired another guy to do it. But it's like very rarely do people wow you.
Right.
I want to wow everybody, Adam.
Right.
Every mortgage client at Summit Funding, I want to wow. Every coaching student at the core, I want to wow. I just want to, I'm reading a book right now called The Go-Giver. You ever heard of that book?
I have.
Yeah.
And it's a book about this guy named Joe who meets this guy named Pintar who's really rich and knows a lot about business. And they go around, they greet a bunch of business people. Well, the first lesson in the book is if you're going to go to get a burger, give them a bigger burger than they expect. And give them a better burger than they expect. Give more than you expect. And I got to tell you, since I've been dealing with the two of you, you always give more than I expect. You always do a great job when you work my events. You always follow up really well. But it's so rare anymore that people do a good job, Adam. It kind of hurts. I don't know. I don't want to say it makes me sad is how it actually makes me. That people are not conscientious about the way they appreciate their clients. It's like they're not grateful anymore. Do you notice that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to be a guy that stands up for relationships. I want to be a guy that does a really good job, that if you pay me $3,000 a month, I want to make you $10,000 a month. If you get a mortgage from me, I want to make sure you're thrilled with the experience. So whether it's my mortgage business or my coaching business, I want to make sure I give more than the clients pay for. And I honestly, and you know, I rarely ever endorse anything. I really believe the doggone Cutco knife delivers more than you pay for. I think it's just a really high quality product. I use them at home. I'm just been a big fan of your product. And the two of you, I think you guys, like, I probably could get Cutco knives from somebody else and I wouldn't enjoy it as much. Why, Adam?
Because they're not wowing you. They're not going above and beyond.
And they're not committed to me. They don't know about my business. They don't know about my life. They really don't show any interest in me. And I think one of the keys that if you're ever going to follow me at the core, if anybody's going to follow me, is you have to do a good job if you're going to be with me. You have to blow the client away. So in the mortgage business, you got to close on time and you got to make it fun. In the coaching business, your measurable tax return. If your tax return does not go up, you have the wrong coach. If you're in the real estate business, you got to be the best negotiator. And I think that most people don't have a simple message, Adam, is what they're teaching.
Got it. And at what point, Rick, for you, like what was your turning point in terms of realizing, because one of the things I love about you and love about your pursuit of greatness, right? You're never like, hey, I'm great, I've arrived no matter how well you're doing. What was your turning point where you realized, hey, I'm broken, my marriage is broken, my finances are broken, my business is broken, everything's broken, and I need to surrender to someone better than me, a process to get me on that path of greatness? At what point were you humble enough to admit that, and what made you get on that path of surrendering?
Well, I got kicked out of high school in 12th grade. What do you think my dad said to me, Adam?
Go to work.
No, he said, you'll never be nothing. You don't have an education, you'll never be nothing. So it's like, I've always been kind of the person that reverse psychology works really well for me. So if somebody tells me I can't do it, or I stick a big old chip on my shoulder and I go prove to them I can do it. Like I use that a lot in my coaching. I tell a lot of people they're not going to make $1 million, and then they come back and prove me wrong. And I say, okay, just say thank you now because I gave you a gift. So I think that for me, I started out early with a lot of naysayers, but I've had 15 mentors. And the thing about me, Adam, is I've pursued all these people to mentor me. Like not once, Adam, did somebody say, hey, kid, come over here. I'm going to mentor you. I pestered the guy. I followed the guy. Like the guy that's been mentoring me for the last 10 years right now, he loves golf. So I literally took golf lessons, and I take him all over the country to golf with him because he likes golf. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I believe you pursue mentors, or if you're not pursuing a mentor, you think you know it all. So if you're not out there pursuing mentors, coach, bosses, people you can learn from, if you're not pestering people, you basically are telling people that you know it all. And most people, Adam, think they know it all, correct?
Yep, absolutely.
They make a little money and they think what?
They got it figured out.
Oh, it's special. So listen, I made 14 grand my first year in the mortgage business. I made 100 my third year. I made 250 my fifth year, and I made $1 million my 11th year. And I've never had a year where I didn't make money. And I'm telling you right now, I'm down 12% year to date. Why?
You're not engaged in your business as you need to be.
I have rested. I have got a little complacent, and I look in the mirror at him and I say, hey, old man, it's okay to coast. You got a lot of money. You got a big bank account. You own anything free and clear. Coast. And then this older man looks back in the mirror and says, get off your butt and go to work. So I think you are in the pursuit of greatness, or once you think you've arrived, you go backwards. So I went down a little bit. Obviously, I must have thought too highly of myself. I'm working really hard right now, building my sales force, working at my events to take better care of my clients. And I still have 6 months to salvage the year, don't I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have more clients and convert more of my leads to finish the year strong. But I won't give up till about December 31st. So I think that I started off broken. I'm currently broken. Plus, if you're married and you love God, God and your wife will always tell you you are broken. You understand that? They will remind you what you're doing wrong. A good wife, I know you just got married, Adam. You tell her if she's a good wife, she tells you what you're doing wrong. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yep.
All men
I'll make
complain
sure.
about their naggy wives, Sarah, but you can't live without a naggy wife. Iron sharpens iron. So if you're in a good relationship, you got to sharpen each other. So I probably have always felt like I always feel like what I make is like ridiculous and it's like unbelievable and I'm so blessed and I'm so lucky. And I hear pro athletes, Adam, that are in the league for 20 years and they talk the same way. And then you hear the young athletes and they act like they've arrived already. They don't last a long time. So I've been in the mortgage business 35 years, coaching business 25 years, always made more money every year. This is the first time I'm a little down, but I still have time to save it. I pay attention to my numbers really closely, Adam. I do a lot of data analytics.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's one thing we've really focused on is that truly data drives your business, right? You can be as fired up as you want to be, but if you're not looking at your numbers, how can you grow something that you don't measure, that you don't look at? You have to give focus and attention to your money, to your numbers, spend time with your P&L. And let's talk about that, because one of my favorite things that you talk about, Rick, is the 1099 disease, right? Because everybody with, our company, Cutco, as far as the umbrella company goes, all 1099s, realtors, 1099s. And to me, and I agree with you on your philosophy, that's the reason these people aren't doing their jobs. They have too much freedom. So tell us a little bit about your philosophy behind the theme days. I think what I like about that is it keeps people on track to actually do their job, because at the end of the day, if somebody's not making what they want to make, if they really look at their year, they really just didn't do their job. And it's shocking, like, why wouldn't they do their job, right? And so tell us about the theme days and keeping people on track, especially the 1099s who have really too much freedom, where if they worked at a company, they get fired for that kind of not doing their job behavior.
Early on in the mortgage business, we were all on 1099s and we all had IRS problems. So it's impossible to be on a 1099 that one time or another you're not going to have IRS problem, because to get all that money and you have to give the IRS 37% of it is very weird concept, where if you're an employee and it comes right out of your check. So one of the problems is the money is harder to manage on a 1099. You have to have extreme discipline to be on a 1099. But the second thing is the mindset. Like when you're on a 1099, you're legally called an independent contractor. That means you have no boss and you're self-employed. Well, I'm going to tell you this. I am not an entrepreneur, and I don't like entrepreneurs, because an entrepreneur, Adam, would rather be broke and do it his way than be part of something and be great. Like I own part of Summit Funding, but I work for Todd at Summit Funding. I own the core. I work at Summit Funding. I have to make him happy. I have to deliver him good profits. But I think that independent contractor mentality promotes doing it your way instead of doing it a way. I'm a guy. I believe, Adam, when you were a kid playing football and we were in the huddle, I said, go get open, correct?
Yep.
I believe in the college and the pros, there's an exact play to follow, correct?
Right.
Like I may say run it down and out, and you take 5 steps, plant your left foot, go 90 degrees, take 3 steps, and the ball's there. So I think recreationally, you do business. I think if you're going to be a professional, you follow an exact set of plays. So I consider myself the #1 coach in the mortgage business. I'm probably in the conversation for top 3 in the real estate business, because Tom Ferry does a really good job. Brian Buffini does a really good job. They're way bigger than me. I only coach about 140 realtors, but my realtors are all pushing the $500 and $1 million net income range. Like my specialty is I take clients making 300 and I teach them how to make $1 million. Like I take guys where the two of you are, and I blow you up between running a better business, running a better P&L, analyzing the data, building a good team. Because if you don't have a good team, it's hard to really there's only so many hours in the day that you can sell.
Right.
So I think that for me, I have an exact playbook that I follow, and I'll run through the lender playbook that I believe in. So if you have less than 10 closings, you go to 4 open houses every Sunday. Why, Sarah?
If you have less than 10 to get more clients.
You meet more realtors. The only way to meet realtors in the modern way is an open house. Can't go into real estate offices and cold call. You go to an open house, realtors standing there. You can go to 4 open houses every Sunday in an hour, and you all could meet 4 new realtors an hour every Sunday. So we go to open houses on Sunday if we have less than 10 deals. Monday we call 40 realtors. Tuesday we call the listing agents and the selling agents and status our deals. Wednesday we call our pre-apps. Thursday we call 30 past clients, and Friday we call our VIPs. So having a theme behind it, Adam, gives you more structure to it.
Absolutely.
I'm also really big on time blocking. So like from 10 to 12 every day, I make all my clients bang phone calls for 2 hours every day. So if you all bang phone calls 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, what would happen, Al?
going to get more business.
Guaranteed. You call more people, you get more business. I don't care if you're the worst salesperson in the world. I don't care if you don't know your product. Contact solves all problems.
Well, and it takes so much out of it too when it's not like, gosh, what should I be doing right now? I think a lot of people when they're building, whether or not they're at a high level or a low level, sometimes they get caught up in like, wait, what is the most important thing? And they're kind of scrambling. But when you have that theme day, it takes away from it. It's like, no, this is what you do today because today is Tuesday.
And Sarah, your income is all based on your ability to manage your own fear. You do understand that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So whatever you guys make, there's fear stopping you from getting to the next level. And as you get over 300 or 500, does money become more emotional or less emotional, Adam?
Less.
If you get, less, I would say.
Over 200, over 500, money is tactical. How many leads, how many conversions, how many knives did I ship, how many people are selling knives, how many people did they talk to? So as you get bigger, it becomes tactical. But when you're under 300 or 400, people are like, do I deserve it? Am I good enough? Will it really happen? Can I trust the process? So I tend to focus on the people over 300 because they're a little more tactical and they're willing to just follow a plan easier than do I deserve it or do I believe in myself?
Right. That's really interesting that flow happens, and it does, Adam. I mean, that's
I do like we're at that level where it's more tactical. How many clients do we have selling knives? How do we get them to sell more knives? How do we get in front of more people? So you're tactical. But up to a certain point, Sarah, you were emotional about the money. Do I deserve it? Am I good enough? It's like stupid things.
Well, getting from zero, like we were talking about before the call, getting from 0 to 100,000 a year is way harder than getting from 150 to 400,000 because you've gotten through the fear, you've gotten through, am I worth it? You've gotten through the rejection, you've gotten through all that, and then getting from even 400 to 800 easier than getting from 0 to 100. That's so hard because you have to go through that worthiness, that fear of rejection, because everything you were just saying, going to the open houses, doing the calls, everything, the reason people don't do that stuff is not because of any other reason, and then that they're afraid of being rejected. That's why sales has big upside, because people don't like, I always tell our salespeople, hey, they need to stop calling this field selling and call it rejection. Your goal is to get on the phone and get rejected, because I'm a surfer. 90% of the time when you're surfing, you're paddling. You're not actually riding a wave. So just like,
let's be honest, 100% of the time when you're surfing, you're going to fall down 100% of the time.
You never ride it. Exactly. And so you're always doing that. And so people get into sales because they're expecting to make a sale, whereas really your job is to get on the phone enthusiastically and get rejected. And I think that's one thing I like about you, Rick. And I think the other reason why people don't do it is fear of rejection, but people don't show up with enthusiasm. They're not able to like, okay, put this thing I'm dealing with in a box here, because you want to show up for these sales calls and these open houses with a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm. Otherwise, you're not going to get that realtor's attention to get business from them. You're never going to be able to wow a client if you're just sitting in the land of no energy, right?
Well, Adam, I've counseled a lot of people through the years, men, women, and they're always like, he's not present when he's talking to me, or she's not focused on me. And it's like, when you're talking to a client, you got to be present on that client's needs, and you got to be excited about serving that client. And I'll tell you, passion goes a long way. Enthusiasm and passion, that is way more valuable than product knowledge or expertise. But I'll tell you, Adam, I coach in 3 levels. I have a level 1 for $400 a month with no requirements. I have a level 2 for $1,250 a month. You got to make $200. And I got a level 3 for $3,000 a month. You got to make $300. Which clients do I have the most retention on?
The top ones.
I average 92% retention over the last 3 years of my clients that come with me, hire me for 2 years, go from 300 to 600. 92% of all my clients double their income in 2 years. 90%. Now, at the middle level, I retain 70% of my clients. And at the entry level, my level 1 that anybody can get in, I retain 55% of my clients. Why do you think that is, Sarah?
You help them make more money. You help them grow. You help them live a better life. I mean,
why do you think the broker ones, the littler ones, don't stay and don't do the work?
I don't know. Why?
What me, you, and Adam were talking about. They're scared of success, or they're scared of getting rejected.
Being held back.
Some emotional block. They'd rather work on a file for 8 hours, make a list 50 times before they'd call a list. And it's like, I probably have more fear than everybody else, so that's why I jump into my fear. Does that make sense? Like, I'm so afraid of being broke that I'd rather be rejected than be broke. So I have a huge fear of failure or not doing well financially, and I think that's propelled me. But I think your fear, you only have two choices, Sarah. What happens when fear confronts you?
I mean, you fight or flight, right? You handle it and you jump into it, or you run away.
Right. And what do the little people do, Sarah?
You run away.
They run away, and you guys are learning to jump into the fear, and I am drawn to the fear. Like conflict and fear, I run towards it. I know that the growth comes from my failing, the growth comes from my rejection, the growth comes from me facing my fears.
Yep.
It does, and that's an exciting, like, and really positive way to approach a lot of things in life. I mean, because a lot of people are afraid of it, right? It's just another human on the other end of the phone, or what's going to happen. And it's interesting though, the dynamic of talking all that. And I was going to ask you about just really the wowing because of the qualifications of your clients and the coaching, and to be able, I mean, talk about client retention, Rick. You know, you're bringing the value, and it's just a win-win all the way around. It's pretty awesome.
Well, I think that I just have had 15 mentors and coaches. So I do this more out of an obligation in life than I do it out of making money. Now, it ended up making me a lot of money, and I make millions of dollars as a coach. But I mean, it's just, I did it because people did it for me, Sarah. And I felt like I was like, do you remember the movie Pay It Forward?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of felt coaching was like I was that kid and somebody did something great for me, so I wanted to do something great for somebody else. So I think that I've had many people that I've helped through the years in the last 25 years in the coaching business, and I love the mortgage business because it's made me a lot of money, but you don't get to be with that client for a long period of time. Where when I'm coaching somebody for a year or 3 years or 5 years, you get to know them and you get to build that relationship. So one of the problems with the mortgage business is you only have 30 days to build a relationship. And then after that, you only have like every quarter you can touch them and get to know them. So it's rewarding, but it's not as rewarding as the coaching business. But when you take somebody and they pay off $100,000 in credit card debt, or they come out of a foreclosure and they get rich and they accumulate wealth, it's very, very rewarding. Like you guys do really well. So when you can have a nice house and you pay your bills and your future looks good, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
So for me, I focus on three things. How many leads are you getting and what are you converting? That's step number one. I think it's the most important thing in every business. Number two, do you deliver a great experience? And number three, are you managing the money properly? You know, I teach 3 secrets in life that are not really secrets, but they are to most people. So Adam, you just got married, correct?
Yes, sir.
What's the law of marriage?
Put your wife first.
Wrong.
No.
The simplest thing, that's the most obvious law. What is it?
Be committed, be faithful.
Thank you. Be faithful is the law of marriage. Listen, can you work out everything else, Adam?
Absolutely.
You can't really work that one out. You understand? You can't really fix that one with flowers, okay?
Right.
So there's a law of money that's obvious. And I'm going to give you all my law of money that I have followed for 32 years. I'm one of the richest men I know. I've got more money in the stock market and in real estate than anybody I know that owns a mortgage company, than anybody, because of one law. You save 20% every month and you never touch it. You save 20% every month and you never, ever touch it. Now, you've been working for how long, Adam?
16 years, going on 16
So
years.
if we just saved 20% of your check, how much money would you have in the bank right now if you'd honored that law?
I probably
More
have
money than you have, or the same money you have?
same money that I have.
So you have honored that law.
You better believe it. Yep.
Now, you know how many people save money a year?
Nobody.
Maybe 1%. So listen, I had a rich guy show me a bank statement with $6 million in it, and I said, how do I get that? He said, you save 20% for 20 years, and you invest it in the stock market, and you try to get a 7% return, because then the money will double every 10 years, and that's how you accumulate wealth. And because of that, I'm doggone loaded. And it's not because I'm a great investor or I've made more money than everybody else. I've just never, ever, even in '08 when the market crashed, what did I keep doing, Adam?
You kept doing it. Same thing.
Saving the 20% and stick in the stock market. So when the market was 13 and it went down to 6 and I bought it all down to 6 and all the way back up to 26, it's quadrupled, hasn't it?
Yep.
So law of marriage is be faithful. Law of money is save 20%, never touch it. And the law of business, let me tell you the simplest law of business. Sell or bring in more than you close. So in the mortgage business, last month I had 197 closings for my 30 guys, and I brought in 230 loans. So I honored the law. If you were to deliver 1,000 Cutco knives, you would have to bring in orders for 1,100 Cutco knives. Now, if I sold ice cream and I sold 10 gallons ice cream, I would have to make or bring in 11 gallons of ice cream. Does that make sense? The law of business.
Yep.
So the law of business is to outsell what you deliver. The law of money is to save 20% and never touch it. And the law of marriage is to be faithful. Now, all three laws are pretty obvious, aren't they?
Yep.
Nobody honors all three laws all the time, including me and both of you. You understand that? But we got to work on honoring them a lot. And the one we need to honor all the time, especially because you're a newlywed, Adam.
Right. Absolutely. So I love those. I mean, Rick, that's, you know, at the end of the day, it's just hard to figure out why some people do and why some people don't. And I think one of the big things is people get fancy, right? Like you were just saying, I love that you just said, Rick, a lot of people would say, Rick Ruby's a great entrepreneur. And you could make that argument, right? But you admit to the fact that, hey, you are a salesperson and a business owner. And you didn't invent having a mortgage company. You didn't invent writing loans. You didn't just an entrepreneur. You didn't invent Tesla, right? You are a salesperson and a business owner. And I think the word entrepreneur is getting thrown around a lot right now. And I think it's a dangerous word, right? Because people think they can do whatever they want. They're going to invent this or that. Once people get to the fact that you're a commission-only salesperson and a business owner, and that entrepreneur is a different window, you're willing to throw $500,000 at some idea that's never existed before on the planet, that's an entrepreneur. And when you get simple and admit that, hey, I'm a salesperson and a business owner, I think then your identity knows, okay, I got to do certain things to keep this going. So for people that are doing, let's say 2 to 3 loans a month, how does that person, you know, own the fact that, hey, I'm a salesperson? How would they go about getting to 5 to 6? How would somebody go about?
First of all, they would have to realize they're a lousy salesperson. To sell 2 sales a month, you're bad at it.
Right.
So most people don't want to look in the mirror and say, oh, I'm fat. Oh, I'm not being a good husband. Oh, I'm not being a good dad. Oh, I'm not a good earner. Oh, I'm not saving my 20%. They just don't look in the mirror and they don't see the truth.
Right.
So if you're under 10 deals a month, you're a lousy salesperson in the mortgage business. If you're under 5 deals a month, you're a lousy realtor. Those are my rules. I'm pretty famous at this. Those are the bars. So for me, Tactical has an exact number on it. So if you're at 9 closings a month and you hear Rick Ruby say, well, 9 closings a month, I ain't very good at it. And you say, he's right, I need to do 11, then that would spark you to do a couple more deals. So I think you got to look in the mirror and you got to take the robe off and you got to say, wow, I'm getting a little fat. I need to go on a diet. I need to exercise a little more. But we no longer want to look in the mirror. So that's the first thing. You got to see where you're at and you got to make some changes. But I think that it's very hard to believe in yourself. It's very easy to believe what somebody else says in you. So I'm a big fan of telling people what they're going to make. So I meet people, like if you were both loan reps, I would tell you you're both going to settle in between 500 and $1 million. That's where you would both settle in. You have big sales skills. You both have really big personalities. That's where you would settle in if you were in the mortgage business. I tell people all the time, it's 3 years to make 100. It's 5 years to make 250. It's 10 years to make 500. It's 15 years to make $1 million. So I just hired a loan rep, Adam, that's 12 years in the business making 125 grand. And in the interview, I told him he was doing everything wrong and his career was crap. Do you think he enjoyed that interview?
Nope.
Now he came to work for me. Why?
Because he wants to surrender to somebody that can get him to where
he agrees his career is crap to be in the business 12 years and make 100 grand. Where most other people are catering to him and they're flattering him. Like one thing about me, I'm very blunt and I'm very direct. So I tell people what they're going to do. And now I'll tell them what they can't do. And I hope they prove me wrong, don't I, Adam?
Yep.
But there's about 300 loan reps that make $1 million in the United States that W-2 at $1 million. And 190 of them pay me $3 grand a month. And none of them made more than 250 when they hired me. Now, I just broke 9 realtors at W-2 that net income over $1 million last year. So I think that when I was the first guy that made $1 million, it gave other people permission that they could make $1 million or see it was available. And now that I have all these coaches making $1 million that are loan reps and producing branch managers, it gives other people permission to make money. So I kind of think that you need a good example of how to do business, and then you need somebody that holds you accountable. So for me, it boils down to 4 things. Do I have a plan? Do I have accountability? Do I have competition? And do I have belief? Those 4 things matter. Because if I give you the plan, hold you accountable, and give you competition, and you don't believe you could win the game, Adam, you're not going to do it, are you?
Nope.
So you got to have that belief. And a lot of times with the belief, you got to fake it until you make it. You literally got to look in the mirror and say, I'm going to make 100. I'm going to make 100. You got to say that 100 times in the mirror every day. Then eventually you'll make 100 grand. You got to like force yourself to believing something, you know? It's like the fat guy that gets skinny. You know, he's got to see himself as a 200-pound guy, not as a 400-pound guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it's a lot of fun, this journey. I've loved the mortgage business. I've loved the coaching business. I love meeting sharp young salespeople like you guys that want to do something special. Super fun for me.
Thank you.
Well, Rick, that's awesome. What one question I have kind of in that closing area is talking about pursuing mentors, you know, and with your specialty being a mentor for all these great people, you know, for our audience who's listening, and what advice would you have in seeking a mentor? Just even in generally, I mean, what advice have you followed in, you know, finding that great relationship? Does it change based on kind of, you know, different levels that you're at for yourself, or, you know, just what advice do you have?
I'm a pretty famous mortgage coach, right? Pretty big name. I rarely get pursued.
Why is that?
I don't know, Adam. I've had guys show up on my doorstep at 5 o'clock and want to talk to me. Now they're making $2 million. I had a guy that I loved that was an internet loan rep that banged on my door. I said I wouldn't coach him, showed up at the office to hang out. Now he's making $1 million as a regular loan rep. So I think that here's the rules of mentors. Number 1, they have to make more money than you. You have to know that they make a lot of money. I don't want some guy that said he used to be in the mortgage business, Adam, telling me what to do. You know why he used to be in the mortgage business, Adam?
He's not good at it.
He wasn't good at it. Somebody used to be in Cutco knives, Sarah. They weren't good at it, or they'd still be in Cutco knives. I'm in the mortgage business today, making millions of dollars, running my 3 little branches, making millions of dollars, owning 20% of Summit Funding. I'm in the coaching business, making millions of dollars in the coaching business. We don't coach from years ago knowing, we coach from today knowing. So when you're pursuing a mentor, you got to look behind the curtain. Now, one of the things where you get in trouble, Sarah, don't pick the whole person, pick the one specific thing. Got it?
Oh, interesting.
Like, don't look at a mentor and say, well, he's my business coach, but he's going to guide my marriage and my kids and my relationship with God. I keep everything separate. I have a personal trainer that works on my body. I have a pastor that works on my relationship with God. I have a guy that's a 50-year husband, Adam. Why do I hang out with him?
Because you want to have a better marriage.
Today, for 2 hours, I will be with my marriage guy for 2 hours talking about why I'm not being a better husband. I am broken and I am seeking direction.
Yep.
I have a business coach. I have a financial planner. I do not pick, like, the worst term in America, Adam, is a life coach.
Right.
That's the worst term in America. So listen, if you're not happy, go get a therapist, okay? If that can't fix it, go get medication from a psychiatrist. If you're fat, hire a personal trainer. If your marriage is not great, you go to marriage clinics, hire a marriage counselor. If your business is not making enough money, you hire an exact business coach to make you more money. That's all I'm interested in. People's income, their bank account, and the amount of money they give away. I will talk about anything they want to talk about, but this is what they pay me for. And I always bring the conversation about their money. Why, Sarah?
I mean, it's all related.
Well, Sarah, it's measurable. We can look like too many people are in a coaching program and they don't measure their tax return from the beginning to now. Like if you're with me and I'm your coach and you, Mary, Sarah, I'm going to get your tax return and your bank balance now. And every 6 months, we're going to review, Sarah, your bank balance and your income.
Yeah, you can't hide behind any of that. Right. Those are the results, period.
Just so you know, I don't know any other coach, Sarah, that measures income like I do.
Yeah.
I literally just took on 35 new clients from our May event. And of the 35 clients, we saw their tax returns, we saw their financials. A lot of them have debt. We've done a full deep dive. So we know where we're at. And now we will measure every 6 months from there, Adam. Does that make sense?
Wow. Wow.
If your coach is not measuring your results and he can't show you a giant tax return bigger than yours, you can't hire that person. So I think a qualified coach, Sarah, is the big thing. And I think you got to pursue them.
Yep.
Sarah, every book I read, every book I like, what do you think I do? When I like a book.
You implement, right?
No, I call the author and pursue him.
Wow.
Every time, Adam. Why? And you know what all authors tell me?
Nobody ever pursues me.
Nobody ever calls me. So listen, I've put out 4 books that are all pretty good, and I've sold lots of books, and rarely do people call me to want to talk about the book. Rarely, Adam, do people pursue me, and I'm a pretty famous coach, and they don't pursue me. Now, I will tell you who did pursue me. There's a young man in the mortgage business who's the #1 mortgage man in the nation last year in one of my lower level programs, pursued me, asked if he could come out and visit me. What did I say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, he came out. We spent 3 hours, talked about his business, but he has a great business. But he works a ton of hours, and he's sacrificing his life to be the #1 guy and to build that great big business. But listen, I got 25 guys in my program that make more than him, and they don't do near the volume. Why, Adam?
25 guys make more than him and don't do near the volume. He's not on top of his financials.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's on top of his lead generation, his lead conversion, isn't he?
Yeah, but not his P&L.
Working on doing a good experience, but he's missing #3. He's not doing proper money management. He's not running his P&L properly. He's more addicted to the volume than he is to the W-2. One thing about me, there are companies out there that are like me and them don't get along at all. And they are addicted to their guys winning plaques for volume. Got it?
Right.
I could care less about a plaque. I care about the tax return, and I care about the surveys for my clients. 2 things I care about: my tax return and my surveys for my clients. And I think that a lot of companies promote the plaque and they don't promote the income. So I try to make sure it's about the income. But I think, Sarah, having mentors is the most important thing in growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think people take it for granted. They're afraid to hire a coach. They're afraid to hire a personal trainer. When you spend money and you have skin in the game, you're going to be way more committed than if you read the information in the book. And for me, coaching is not about the information. Coaching is about the accountability and the competition.
Yeah. And what's interesting too, Rick, like you were saying, is that a lot of great people just aren't pursued. You just assume, even when we pursued you, we knew, we're like, there's no way we're going to get Rick Ruby on the phone. There's no way he's going to let us fly to North Carolina and go meet with him in his office. We couldn't pay for a meeting with this guy.
Why would I not want 2 young, excited people to ask me questions? Who would not want that?
Right.
But I'm just telling you, Adam, you guys are both pretty successful in Cutco. How many entry-level Cutco people pursue you?
True.
None.
True.
Like, Sarah, you've been in Cutco a long time, and you got to be ranking in the top, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And how many Cutco salespeople are there?
60,000.
And Adam, honestly, how many should be calling you?
All of them.
There's 500,000 loan reps. How many should be tracking me down and saying, Rick, I need you to help me get rich? I'm like, the guy. If you want to get rich, you hire me in the mortgage business. And they're not pursuing me. Why?
They're afraid, honestly.
They're afraid, which means they really don't want it. Every Cutco person, would you help them, Adam, if they called you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We would all help the people under us, but they don't ask, correct?
Right. Yeah. Right. It's a compliment. Like, we love, you want to help somebody that's young and hungry. It's a compliment.
How can I not want to help
in all of us, and people just don't.
Excited Adam,
right.
Because anybody became successful on their own.
I mean, you have to stand on the shoulders of giants, as they say. You gotta, find the master, follow the model. That whole.
Sarah, how come people don't pursue coaches and mentors?
They don't feel worthy, right?
You think that's what it is, or you think they've arrived?
Either option. They don't feel worthy, right? They're like,
why in the world would I not have met with you and Sarah? You're both young, aggressive salespeople. You've liked seeing me on stage. You've enjoyed me. Why would I not want to spend time with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a good thing for us to remember as well. And if we were in the mortgage business, Rick, we would definitely be coaching with you.
I like it. So listen, I'll run into a lot of mortgage people. I got an event August 9th in Texas, my general mega event, my wide open mega event I'll be at. August 9th, we got our mega. We'll be doing a big event. We've got about 900 people registered right now. We're trying to get it to about 1,200. But that's the only time of year where I do a general, open to anybody sales seminar, learn how to generate mortgage leads, learn how to convert mortgage leads. I got a real estate division. We'll learn how to generate some leads to convert leads. But I think that it gives me a chance to be exposed to 1,000 people in the mortgage business once a year so they can see what I'm about. Because how can they decide if they want to be with me, Sarah, if they don't know what I stand for or they don't know who I am? Now, let's be clear. I am not mellow in any sense of the way. I am quite fired up in life about this. And it's like, you guys have done so well at Cutco. I would imagine that you tell everybody they should be in Cutco knives, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But imagine 60,000 Cutco knife people. How many call you a month, Adam?
0.
Sarah, I get very few lenders that pursue me. Very few. I literally got to drip on them, call them, talk them into going to seminars. You think they'd be at my door waiting for me?
Well, hopefully anybody listening here definitely caught that message. And Rick, where would they go? Is it thecore.com?
Well, we have thecoretraining.com, and we have 800-660-6067. They can call. They get a free consultation from one of my guys, hear about our events, hear about our 3 coaching levels, find a level for them. But Sarah, I'm looking for the few, the proud, the ones that want to do something really special in this business. I'm not interested in the whiners and the complainers, the people aren't willing to work 50 or 60 hours a week. I ain't got no magic pill. I got to really hard work both very much, and I'll do anything I can to support either one of you. And I really like
thanks,
Cutco
Rick.
knives.
And in closing, I mean, that is how we got connected with learning about you and all that you do. Is a lot of our top clients who are just killing it. We said, how'd you get here? And so many of them, a common thread. We just interviewed Sam Hansen the other week, and we've
great monster in San Diego, one of mine.
Yes,
yeah.
And a lot of them really credit the success that they've had to your program. So we're huge advocates, and we'll spread the word always, Rick, the good word. And we appreciate your time so much.
See you guys later. Have a great day.
Thanks, Rick. Bye.